Today we are going to start chapter 2 of your geography book, which is land, soil and water resources. So let's start. We have already read about the natural resources in the previous chapter. Land, soil and water are important natural environmental conditions such as different elements of weather and climate, hydrological cycle, weathering of rocks, etc. Land resources. Land is the most important natural resource as human beings live on it and obtain most of their needs from it. It is used by human beings for settlement, agriculture, transport, and other activities. Even most of our clothing requirements come from land. About 95% of human food requirements are met from the land. Land covers about 29% of the total surface area of the earth. Entire human population of more than 7 billion people today live on land. Out of 90% people live on 30% of the land area. Remaining 10% also live on the land but in hostile terrain like deserts, mountains, grasslands and in extremely cold areas. The areas are thinly populated. So, लैंड वाटर एयर हमारे मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज में से एक हैं। वैसे ही लैंड हमारे लिए, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट फर्स्ट लैंड रिसोर्सेज। तो लैंड हमारे लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट नेचुरल रिसोर्स है क्योंकि अर्थ की सारी पॉपुलेशन लैंड पर ही रहती है और हमें लैंड से ही हमारी फूड रिक्वायरमेंट्स पूरी होती हैं। सो इन दिस चार्ट वी कैन सी हाउ मच लैंड वी कैन यूज and how we can use all the land. Technology, planning and zoning, ownership, population, environment, individual preferences, economic conditions, geography, topography, market, land market and infrastructure. Infrastructure में sewer, water utilities, transportation में private sector, local government, state government, federal government, individuals. So all of these factors affect the land use in a city. Land use. We sue land for different purposes like cultivation, grazing, mining, setting up of industries, settlements and so on. Such land utilization is called land use. The proportion of land put to a particular use and its distribution over an area or the world is known as land use pattern. For example, land use cannot land like agriculture, housing and roads. Therefore, differences in land use also depend on the environmental problems and cultural differences of the people. Physical features of a land also put certain limits to its use. तो हम लोग लैंड का यूज अलग अलग चीजों के लिए करते हैं, जैसे कि कल्टीवेशन के लिए, ग्रेजिंग के लिए, माइनिंग के लिए, इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए, सेटलमेंट्स के लिए एंड एटसेट्रा। तो लैंड का यूज हम कैसे कर रहे हैं ये अलग अलग चीजों पे डिपेंड करता है, जैसे कि ह्यूमन नीड्स पे, लैंड की टोपोग्राफी पे एंड एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशंस पर। मेजर लैंड यूज पैटर्न्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड आर first forest, second arable land, third pasture land, grasslands, fourth rough grazing, fifth wasteland, sixth savanna, seventh mining, fishing and industrial centers. Changes in land use between 1921 and 2000 has shown in this picture influencing land use pattern. कौन-कौन से factors हैं जो land use pattern को influence करते हैं? First, population growth is the major factor that determines land use pattern as well as its changes. For example, conversion of forest land into cropland, etc. Second, physical factors like topography, climate, availability of water, soil and its fertility. Number third, occurrence of mineral deposits favor mining and also invite human settlement, transport, etc. Fourth, crop combination and nature of soil determine land under agriculture. Fifth, technology plays an important role in determining land use for various settlements. For example, human settlements near the high seismic zones are usually avoided. Here in this chart you can see land used by continents in the world. तो world के कौन-कौन से continent किस-किस चीजों में अपने land का use करते हैं? Here you can see in this chart. Land use in selected countries of the world. Land used by continents of the world. From the given table we can draw many important inferences. For example, India has a very high percentage of arable land, 57%. Australia and UK have more land under pastures. Japan has 67% of its total land area under forest. Canada, which has a good percentage of its land area under forest, has put its land area to. In this table you can see the different uses of land by the different countries. The above land use pattern also depicts probable economic activities of the people. For example, Agriculture is the dominant occupation of the people in India. Two European countries, France and UK, has a sizable portion of an arable land, and agricultural occupations are still very important. Here in this activity, you can read the activity and perform by common property resources. On the basis of its use, land can be divided into private lands, community lands, and cooperative ownership. Traditionally, Adivasis in India and tribals in other parts of the world consider land a community resource. In Africa, even today, many communities use pasture lands as a common resource for grazing their domesticated animals. They even collect fodder, fruit, medicinal herbs for community use. Community lands are considered as a common property resource. This concept has been extended to corporate lands. Under globalization, many corporate companies have established industrial parks as a common property resource. However, the ownership of the land continues to be privately owned by the members or shareholders of the company concerned. World pattern of land use. The world pattern of land use is shown in the map below. It may observe that both climate and relief factors determine land use pattern. In major parts of the world, people still practice nomadic herding and primitive agriculture, whereas in developed parts of the world, people practice commercial agriculture to get the maximum benefit from land. We should prepare a plan of land use. In this map, we can see world pattern of land use planning. The conservation of land resources takes into account the needs of the community as well that of environment, including technological development. Therefore, for this purpose, some hindrances like regionalism and disturbances in occupational structure of the people need to be overcome. Soil resources. Soil is an important resource which sustains the living world. It is the top covering of the earth's surface. It comprises of mineral particles and decayed organic material which together help plant growth. The organic content in soil called humus. In the process of weathering, rocks break down and alteration of minerals takes place on or near the surface of the earth. For weathering to take place must be in equilibrium and in contact with the atmosphere. Soil is formed in layers from parent rock upward. This layering arrangement is called soil profile. The layers of soil are also called horizon. Generally, there are three horizons designated A, B and C. C is the bedrock, B is the subsoil above it, and A is the proper soil and contains humus. In this picture, you can see a soil profile containing three layers A, B and C. Soil formation. Soil formation is a slow and complex process. It takes thousands of years to form a very thin layers. Plants, animals, insects and countless bacteria besides providing materials for the formation of humus are also useful when they are alive. They set the soil and provide open spaces within soil to take in air, oxygen, nitrogen and carbon dioxide. Bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into usable forms. Temperature, precipitation and other chemical constituents of soil also help in soil formation. Thus, soil formed by mechanical, chemical and biological factors affecting soil formation. So these are the factors which affect the soil formation. First is parent rock, determines color. Here is the chart given of factors affecting the soil formation. Let's talk about one. First is climate. Climate is the most important factor as it affects weathering of rock, nature of vegetation and the moisture in the soil. Second, parent rock or the original rock. Its characteristics and quality is also responsible for the type and quality of soil. For example, shales make clay soil while sandstones contribute sand grains. Number 3, rate of soil formation mostly depend on the frequent temperature changes and precipitation. Time factor is essential both for soil formation and its use. Relief, altitude, slope and natural agents of transportation and depositions like rivers and winds also affect soil formation. Depending on the origin of the soil and their evolution, soils are classified into two main groups, residual and transported soils. For example, red and black soils in Deccan Plateau are residual soils, whereas the alluvial soils of Ganga Valley are transported soils. Do you know? A square meter of fertile soil contains over 1 million soil animals. many too tiny to be seen with the naked eye. 6. Humus. Flora, fauna and microorganisms in soil affect humus formation and give it a black or grey color. Picture you can see soil degradation map of the world. It is a renewable resource. The process is however very complicated and slow. It takes anything from 400 to 1000 years for an inch of soil to form. Therefore, this renewability must be maintained in uninterrupted form. When soil is robbed of its basic properties, soil erosion occurs. Soil erosion is the degradation of soil properties by natural or human activities. To ensure that soil resources of earth remain intact, the rate of erosion must not exceed the rate of soil. Factors responsible for soil degradation. The factors affecting the degradation of soil are: first, soil erosion. Soil erosion is the main factor responsible for soil degradation and even its destruction. Among the factors responsible for soil erosion are deforestation, faulty agricultural practices, chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Number 2, salination. Accumulation of water on soil causes its saltiness. Irrigation canals led to salination, thus resulting in soil degradation. Deforestation. Deforestation leads to enormous loss of basic properties of soil. Overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, landslides and floods also degrade the soils. Conservation of land and soil resources. Conservation. It means protection, preservation and efficient utilization of resources. While it is true that nature has capacity to renew land and soil resources on its own, it is very slow progress spread over thousands of years. Conservation is a human practice that has to be promoted rather than allowed to run on its own. Some methods adopted for soil conservation are: check land degradation. Degradation of land, as explained earlier, is directly related to destruction of soil resources. Therefore, land degradation must be controlled. Second, mulching. Mulch means covering with straw or compost. Bare grounds are covered with layers of organic matter, sometimes even with crude fiber or any other organic matter. This prevents animals and fast winds from causing damage to soil. It helps to retain soil moisture in cold countries. Mulching is used for germination of seeds. Contour plowing. It is the cultivation of land allowing the contours in color to check the flow of water which otherwise take away the soil. Terrace farming. Terrace farming is done in hilly areas on steep slopes. Step-like terrace with flat surfaces are made to enable the fields to hold soil and water. This reduces terrace farming, surface runoff as well as soil erosion. Agroforestry and other measures. Afforestation, plugging of gullies, controlling shifting agriculture and intercropping are other means of soil conservation. In intercropping, as in the case of wheat, different crops, particularly legumes like peas, are grown in alternate rows and sown at different times to help the soil retain its nutrients. Shelter belts. Trees are grown in rows and columns to prevent winds, running water, and even grazing animals from causing damage to the soil. They check the speeding water and wind movement. Plantation has been put to good use in coastal areas and dry. Water resources. Water forms the basis of life. It is a renewable natural resource. The presence of water distinguishes our Earth from other planets. The Earth is known as a watery planet because 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water in oceans, seas, and lakes. The Earth is about 4.6 billion years old. It is believed that for about a billion years, in the beginning, there was no water on the Earth's surface. It was only when the Earth's surface was covered with water that atmosphere formed. Sea box. Atmosphere formed. After the formation of all three domains of the Earth, life was formed in primitive oceans, but 3.5 billion years ago, in the Earth's history, the area under oceans has expanded and sunk several times, depending on sea level. The ocean water is saline or salty. It is not fit for domestic, agricultural, and industrial purposes. The lithosphere receives water from precipitation through the process of hydrological cycle. The ocean water cycles through atmosphere and land and back again. The water that falls on the ground is fresh water and accounts for about 2.7% of all water resources on the earth. Nearly 70% of its fresh water is found in the form of frozen ice, Antarctica and glaciers on the high mountains. Sources of water. There are contrary views among scientists regarding the sources of the Earth's water. Astronomers considered comets formed of gaseous clouds which hit the primitive Earth frequently as the source of water on Earth. Geologists, on the other hand, considered volcanic eruption as the source of water on the Earth. Ever since oceans and seas were formed, they maintained a certain kind of level with respect to land. This is known as sea level. How present phase of global warming is impacting the sea level. Harnessed fresh water. Human beings, land animals and plants use only fresh water. Human beings use it not only for drinking and washing but also for irrigation and industrial purposes. They build canals, dams and generate electricity with the help of falling water. There is a great demand for water due to rising population. Latitudinal variations. It is interesting to note that world's most densely populated areas also receive sufficient rain for their needs. Between 20° and 40° latitudes in both hemispheres, evaporation exceeds precipitation. Therefore, these areas, along with those of equatorial region, have surplus precipitation. The areas where water is found in plenty include countries of Europe, South and Southeast Asia, and Eastern USA. The dry areas include major parts of Central and West Asia, Central Australia, North Africa, and the Middle East. The arid region in Northern Hemisphere are Sahara, Arabian, and Gobi Desert. In the Southern Hemisphere, Atacama, Namibia, Kalahari, and West Australia are also examples of the earth. Water quality. Water in its pure form is odorless and colorless liquid. It easily gets contaminated with hundreds of different types of wastage that affects its quality. It becomes saline but does not decompose easily. Therefore, these waste infuse diseases causing pathogens in water and make it dangerous for human or even animal consumption. The common waterborne diseases are cholera, dysentery, typhoid, and amoebic infections. Water pollution is a major pollution today. It is responsible for water scarcity. Besides, there are also problems of taking piped water to far-flung and scattered rural areas. In India, only 29% of homes rural area get water. Even in urban area, only 65% of homes get water. Worldwide, less than 20% people in developing countries have access to clean drinking water. There is water shortage in many regions of the world on account of pollution and regional variations. Many parts of Africa, West Asia, South Asia, West USA, Northwest Mexico, South America, and entire Australia are facing water shortage. Conservation of water resources. Water can be conserved and its quality improved at less expense than any other resource. Some of the important purification and quality improvement techniques are removing impurities. Any odor or color in water is a sign of an impurity. Depending on the type of impurity, these can be removed by filtration, distillation, boiling, treatment, and recycling. Some of the common water contaminants are lead, salt, iron, and hydrocarbons. Number first, filtration. In this process, water is passed through a screen like cloth, sand, charcoal, or even a specially made filtering device to remove suspended particles. Mostly insoluble and hard impurities can be removed in this process. Second, distillation. This process involves boiling of water and condensing pure steam, which they can be reused. This method is very effective but expensive. Many pesticides which are not biodegradable can be removed in this way. Distillation is also used for desalination of pond or seawater. Distilled water is mostly used in hospitals. Number third, boiling of drinking water supplied by pipes is recommended for every household. It is also the most common method as boiling kills parasites and bacteria. Treatment. Water can be disinfected through treatment. Chlorination is a common way of disinfecting drinking water. Chlorine is also used in swimming pools, ponds, and water tanks. Number 5. Recycling. Recycling is the established process of purifying wastewater discharged by industries. Though recycling generally refers to reuse of resources, the process also involves purification. Recharge of underground water. Today, rainwater harvesting and check dams are used to recharge and enhance the underground water table. It is the most effective method of meeting water needs and preventing water shortages in the monsoon country like in third other methods. All the above mentioned 5 processes involve purification, but conservation is more than purification. It means protection, preservation, and efficient utilization of water resources. Some of the important conservation techniques are: first, improving vegetation cover by planting trees, grass, or even bushes to check surface water runoff. Second, preventing pollution by taking adequate steps to prevent contamination of water. Third, making legislations like banning pesticides in agriculture and using efficient means of irrigation like sprinkler irrigation. Land, soil, and water are interrelated in terms of their resource value. There can be no soil without water, and rocks is essential. Components of land are needed for soil formation. This interrelationship enhances the resource value. Natural vegetation and wildlife resources. Natural vegetation is one of the greatest natural resources of the earth. It refers to plants growing in any region controlled by the climate of the region. It is a part of biosphere. It is found only in the contact zone of lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. In the biosphere, there is interdependence and interrelationship among living things and their physical environment. The life supporting system on the surface of the earth is known as the ecosystem. The size of the ecosystem may vary from that of the ponds to a whole ocean. In fact, the biosphere is itself treated as big ecosphere as shown in the figure. In this figure, we can see interdependence and interrelationship among living beings in a biosphere. Vegetation and wildlife are valuable resources in the ecosystem, are two forms of life on the earth: plant kingdom and animal kingdom. Though microbes are regarded as separate division, there are about 3 lakhs species of plants and 10 lakh species of animals on the earth. Most plants are green and make their own food through photosynthesis. This promotes interdependence and exchange of matter and energy between the 3 realms of earth, land, air, and water. Vegetation is the assemblage of plant species living in association with each other in a given environmental framework. Forests constitute the most important natural vegetation zones on the earth. They contain thousands of plant and animal species which interact with climatic elements like temperature, pressure, as well as surface relief features and soil cover. Major vegetation types. The major vegetation includes forest, grassland, shrubs, and tundra. The region where trees grow close to each other are called forest. The two main subdivisions of forest are evergreen and deciduous. In the evergreen forest, the trees of different species shed their leaves at different times. Such forests always appear to be green. The trees in the deciduous forest shed their leaves during the particular dry season. It helps in conserving the moisture and reducing loss through transpiration. There is a great variation of species known as biodiversity in these vegetation zones. They are basic natural ecosystems. We shall, however, discuss only forest resources in greater detail. Natural vegetation. Forests are generally classified on the basis of climatic regions. They also conform to various latitudinal zones by which they are differentiated. The growth of natural vegetation primarily depends on climatic factors including moisture. The broad vegetation types of the world are distributed over the globe on the basis of precipitation and temperature. The geographic distribution of the major forest types of the world are: first, tropical evergreen forests. They are found in the climatic region between 5 to 10 north and south latitudes. The Amazon basin, the largest rainforest area in the world, is found in this zone. Coniferous forest. The coniferous forest areas are located between 50° to 70° in north latitudes. This vegetation zone is also called taiga and is found in Siberia and northern Canada. This ecosystem is under threat because of climatic change. Temperate evergreen forest. They are located in the temperate climatic zone between 30° and 40° north and south latitudes. The climate is characterized by wet winter and dry summer season. Fourth, Mediterranean forest. The Mediterranean climate or biome occurs on western margins continent in mid latitudes. Wet winters and warm and hot summers permit growth of Mediterranean forest. Number 5, deciduous forest. These forests are found in the monsoon climatic zone and are also called deciduous monsoon forest. There are two types of forest in this zone. The first one is evergreen broad-leaved forest. They are found in areas with annual rainfall of above 200 cm. The second one is deciduous forest. The trees of forest shed their leaves during dry season to conserve moisture. They generally receive rainfall between 100 to 200 cm. Monsoon deciduous forests are spread all over India, Pakistan, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, East Africa, Central America, East Brazil, and North Australia. Mid-latitude forest. This vegetation has some characteristics of West European type climate found in parts of China, Japan, Siberia, Manchuria, Korea, Northwest Europe, West Canada, and St. Lawrence Basin. Temperature during winter may fall down 6 degrees Celsius, therefore trees shed their leaves in winters in order to protect themselves from extreme cold. This is the forest types. Resources. Wildlife refers to plants, animals, birds, and other living creatures in a natural habitat. All the domestic animals have come from wild animals, therefore wild ancestors of domestic animals are essential for survival of the species. Even those animals which have not been domesticated are important for evolution of life on the earth. In the last 100 years, a number of wild creatures have either become extinct or are endangered. The savanna grasslands of Africa contain the world's largest pool of wildlife resources. Many animals in these grasslands have been hunted down. Each type of vegetation zone discussed earlier has its own type of wild animals. In India, there are rich variety of birds and animals. There are over 89,451 known species of wild animals, 3,546 species of fish, and 1,232 species of birds in India. Tropical rainforests are full of animals like eagles, tree frogs, monkeys, gibbons, howlers, orangutans, sloths, T-boa, constrictors, beetles, bats, wasps. In India, jaguars, tapirs, and rhinoceros are found in forest. In the deciduous forest of India, lions are found in the Gir forest of Gujarat. In the temperate regions, the animals of deciduous forest include bears, deer, wolves, porcupines, badgers, opossums, and wild bears. Frogs, muskrats, salamanders, and turtles are found near the water sources. A good number of birds live in bushes or on trees. Animals of the desert include many types of insects, lizards, vipers, scorpions, tortoises, foxes, and camels. Some typical animals of other deserts are also found in India. Forest and wildlife resources. Today, human activity poses the greatest threat to wildlife and its natural habitat. Great damage has been done to wildlife by cutting forests, constructing roads, railways, industrial complexes, and cities. The damage done to their natural habitat has led to the extinction of many species of plants and animals. The recommended minimum forest cover is about 33% of the total geographical area. The world forest cover has already is less than 20%. Over the last 2 centuries, some countries have lost between 50% to 100% of their forest cover. The countries where maximum forest cover has been lost in the past decade, in descending order of depletion, are Nigeria, Costa Rica, Thailand, Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, and Indonesia. Factors responsible for depletion. The factors responsible for depletion of forest cover and wildlife are many and varied. They differ from region to region and country to country as described below. Deforestation. Rapid growth of population has put huge pressure on resources like agriculture, habitations, industries, roads, etc. It gave way to deforestation on a large scale. Deforestation has also led to the loss of natural habitats, plants, hunting and poaching. Illegal hunting of animals for pleasure and trade is called poaching. Wild animals are poached for their hides, skin, nails, teeth, horns, as well as feathers. Some of the animals that are victims of poaching on a large scale include tigers, lions, elephants, rhinoceros, crocodiles, deer, ostrich, and peacock. The animals in savanna grasslands and in Himalayas or even in the desert of Rajasthan have been killed for sport and pleasure. Many others are killed for meat, wool, and for trade in animal products like ivory obtained from elephant tusk. Pollution. It results in climate change and global warming, which in turn cause damage to forest resources on account of localization and tolerance to heat intensity. It also poses a serious threat to wild animals. Economic exploitation. Commercial utilization of trees and forest products is very high. In monsoon areas, the economically viable trees of Asia such as sandalwood, teak and various other species are exploited at a rate several times faster than their agri-fuels. In South America, vast tracts of forest land of Brazil and Venezuela have been devoted to cultivating crops that are useful for producing bioenergy. This has also caused loss of habitats of wild animals. Other agents: soil erosion, floods, landslides, extension of deserts, and grazing by domestic animals are other important causes of depletion of forest resources. Conservation. We have already studied earlier that conservation is a principle based on certain goals. These goals in case of forest include: first, preservation of biodiversity; second, sustainable resource use; third, better quality of life, clean air and water; fourth, aesthetic pleasure. Some methods of conservation are as follows. First, institutional measures. The government has formulated forest laws and established national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves to protect the natural vegetation and wildlife. Some of the special projects like Project Tiger have saved the tiger from extinction. Anti-pollution legislation have also passed by the countries. The killing of wild animals and trade in their products like ivory, elephant, and antlers are also prohibited by law. India has so far set up 18 biosphere reserves, 102 national parks, and 515 wildlife sanctuaries. Afforestation. This means planting of trees where they have been cut down on vacant lands, wastelands, swamps, roadsides, parks, etc. To prohibit cutting down on trees without prior permission. Prevention. Preventing loss on account of calamities like flood and forest fires. Some fires occur naturally and others due to negligence. Both can be prevented with proper planning. Community initiative. An example of conservation is the community initiative taken by Bishnois in Rajasthan. They have maintained vast areas under forest cover in an arid area. The Yellowstone National Park in USA is another example. Africa, which was earlier famous for hunting expeditions called safari, is now known for its national parks in the Savannah region. Cities. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, Sites of Wild Flora and Fauna is an international body. Its main aims are: prevent poaching, prohibit international trade in species of wild animals and plants, protect wild plants and animal species. Nearly 28,000 species of plants and 5,000 species of animals are protected under this agreement. Some examples of protected species are orchids, aloes, corals, cacti, dolphins, and bears. Natural vegetation and wildlife is important of energy through food chain and oxygen in atmosphere. Its resource value is not by exploitation but making best and efficient use. It needs our care and protection. Thank you class. Let's meet again in the next chapter.